Hi, everyone. We're going to go over an IFSP or the Individual Family Service Plan. I'm going to say that there are a lot of slides in this production, so it's going to be very brief. And please access the PowerPoint in the module to look at it longer, because I'm going to go really quick. So an IFSP is a written plan or roadmap, which is Part C of the Individuals with Disability Education Improvement Act. It's a living document, and it's developed by a team that includes the family service coordinators, early intervention providers, others that may be invited by the family, and the intake coordinator. So far more important than the form itself are the interactions, the collaborations, and the partnerships between families and professionals that are necessary to develop and implement an IFSP. The IFSP is a promise to children and families, a promise that their strengths will be built on, that their needs will be met in a way that is respectful of their beliefs and values, and that their hopes and aspirations will be encouraged and enabled. Development and implementation of the IFSP is guided by several fundamental principles and beliefs about children and families. That all children are unique. Children grow and develop in the context of relationships with their families and other caregivers, and children learn and develop in everyday routines, activities, and places. The child and family has a right to belong, to be welcome, to participate fully in activities within their community, and the life of the child and family is enhanced when they are successful in maintaining their everyday activities and relationship. Family-centered principles are a set of interconnected beliefs and attitudes that shape directions of program philosophy and behavior of personnel. Core to family center supports and services is sensitivity and respect for the culture and values of individual family members and each family's ecology as family members define the people, activities, and beliefs important to them. The purpose of early intervention is to achieve family outcomes as well as child outcomes, utilizing these guiding principles of practice. The IFSP process includes discussions with the family, observations of the child, formal eligibility determination, and ongoing assessment. The IFSP should include functional outcomes and define strategies and activities that will help incorporate these outcomes throughout the child's daily routine. The service provider's role is to facilitate development and implementation of the family's IFSP and ensure services are developed in a manner supportive of the family's values, priorities, and routines. Children and families may have multiple and diverse needs and thus may have to draw on the resources of multiple disciplines and programs. The IFSP team is comprehensive and may include any person who is involved with the child and invited by the family. Families have the right to know all role options and to choose their level of involvement, including serving as team leaders. The IFSP team has final decision-making responsibility and the family gives consent for IFSP implementation. A family-centered IFSP process does not indicate a passive role for professionals. The responsibility of professionals to openly and honestly share their knowledge, opinions, and concerns remains ongoing. So here are elements of collaboration needed by professionals in the family-centered IFSP process: mutual respect, open communication, accessibility and responsiveness, absence of labeling and blaming, mutually agreed upon goals, to name just a couple of that are listed here. So here's a checklist that you may need to go through. I really believe that parents are my equal and in fact are experts in their child. I show the same respect for the value of parents' time as I do for my own. I speak plainly and avoid medical, psychological, or social work jargon. I make appointments and provide services at times and places that are convenient for the family. I share information with other professionals to ensure both that services are not duplicated and that families do not expend unnecessary energy searching for providers and services. I display a genuine concern for the welfare of the child and the family. The above components includes what the federal regulation requires to be documented in the IFSP. The IFSP should focus on the naturally occurring behaviors of the child in daily routines with family caregivers. Example, John holds his bottle with both hands during feeding time. John sits without support on the floor during playtime. Family priorities are the family's choices for how early intervention supports and services are going to be helpful for their family to enhance their child growth and development. Determining the family's true concerns and priorities and resources is essential in the development of family outcomes that are more positive and functional. This can be accomplished through a voluntary family assessment or a routine-based interview. The IFSP team agrees on functional outcomes and the strategies needed to achieve them. Developing outcomes is an IFSP team process. Summary of recommended practices: they need to be individualized, comprehensive, normalized or normalizing, community-based, interdisciplinary, collaborative, family-centered, relationship supportive, culturally competent, and prioritized. A family-centered functional outcome is a statement of the changes a family wants to see for their child or for themselves. An example is George will participate in bathroom potty routines by indicating when his diaper is wet, and we will know he can do this when he gestures, signs, or vocalizes when his diaper is wet 3 times per day for so many times that he can stop wearing the diapers. Understanding a family's routine leads to the development of more functional outcomes. They specify what the child or family will do. They give the contextual need that has been identified, and it is important to the primary caregivers. The family must be centrally and actively involved in this goal-setting process. The family has information about the child's skills and needs in home and community activities and interactions, and is best able to determine relative priorities for the child's program at any point in time. The family is more likely to implement home programming and carryover activities in support of outcomes that they have prioritized. Team members must be able to communicate with one another. Team members must genuinely respect one another, and both communication skills and mutual respect are essential to the goal-setting process. So, an outcome writing steps: 1 is to identify family priorities, find out which routines this will affect, write child will participate in the routine by doing some type of behavior. You add criteria and conditions for success and additional criteria for maintenance and generalization. An example is George will participate in morning and evening routines by swallowing his medication without spitting or gagging. We will know he can do this when he swallows his medication in this manner: 2 medications in the morning and 2 medications at night over 1 week of time. Indicators of high-quality IFSP outcomes include functionality. Will the skill increase a child's ability to interact with people and objects? Generality. Does the skill represent a general concept or class of responses? Instructional context. Can the skill be taught in a way that reflects the manner in which the skill will be used in daily environments? Measurability. Can the skill be seen and/or heard and measured? Hierarchical. Is a short-term objective a developmental sub-skill or step thought to be critical to the achievement of the long-range goal? A strategy is a plan developed by the team that identifies how the outcome will be achieved by selecting new activities, needed resources, modifying and/or changing the routine or environment. The IFSP team should decide on services based on outcomes, not diagnosis. It is important to remember when determining what services and supports are needed that it is an IFSP team decision and should always be based on the outcome identified by the family and not by the diagnosis or by the specific test results. Services and supports are integrated within routines and activities within the natural environment. The IFSP team determines these timelines based on IFSP outcomes. Strategies for team members to be consistent of performance, use skills across time with different materials in different settings with different individuals. Family priorities and family IFSP outcomes should drive services and supports that the services coordinator coordinates and implements. This person is responsible for implementing the plan and coordinating with other agencies and persons. Coordination of supports and services to implement the plan should be based on family priorities and family IFSP outcomes. The final requirement identified in Part C of IDEA to be included on the IFSP are steps to support the child's transition from early intervention to preschool or other appropriate services. Planning in advance will minimize the stress caused by changes the family will experience, reduce fears of the unknown, help families to build new relationships with staff and become involved in the new program, support the child during the transition process, and help them adapt to the new environment. Good planning prevents interruptions in services, provides families with an opportunity to participate as equal partners, facilitates the adjustment of the child and family to the new program, eliminates duplication of evaluation and planning meetings, and assures that interested families and eligible children receive appropriate services, including services provided by Office for Citizens with Developmental Disabilities. We have completed our review of the required components of the IFSP. Let's take a moment to think about these steps and components and the roles and responsibilities you may have in completing them. Thanks, everyone. See you online.